What's up, everybody? I'm Logan Moody. This is The Contrarian. I hope you're all doing well this day. Today I'll be talking about something I think we kind of all knew would happen at some point in the future, and that is the eventual meltdown and at least a partial collapse of the whole crypto NFT world that's currently going on. And I'll be talking about why there's a lot of factors that actually haven't come about yet that could send something like Bitcoin or just cryptos in general significantly lower than where they even are right now. To put it succinctly, basically Tether is the elephant in the living room that potentially could make Bitcoin go down significantly even from where it is right now. Now you've all heard of Terra, the other stablecoin that did collapse already, but Tether is much more large, much more significant. If that does go south, crypto is in a much worse place than it even is right now. So I'll take a brief dive into Tether, as well as some other reasons for why crypto really hasn't faced its capitulation point yet, in my opinion. So without further ado, I will get into basically what a stablecoin is, just to clarify that. Then I'll get into a great article by Bloomberg, which essentially lays out what we know right now and what we do not know yet about Tether. As you'll see, it's a very complicated situation, to put it mildly. So first of all, what is a stablecoin? Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies that are usually pegged to a fiat currency such as the dollar. The most high-profile stablecoin is Tether, of which there is around 75 billion in circulation. This makes it the third biggest cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. The reason why Tether is so significant is that if Tether goes down like what Terra did in terms of the actual reserves not being there, essentially a whole run on the bank scenario playing out with Terra, immense value could be wiped out as well. And Tether is much larger than what Terra was. Not by a lot, but it is larger. So basically, I found this great article out there by Bloomberg, which lays out a lot of what we know about Tether, what we don't know about Tether. So basically, last July, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen summoned the chair of the Federal Reserve, the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and 6 other top officials for a meeting to discuss Tether. The absurdity of the situation couldn't have lost on them. Inflation was spiking and COVID surge threatened the economic recovery, and Yellen wanted to talk about a digital currency dreamed up by the former child actor who'd missed a penalty shot on the Mighty Ducks. But Tether had gotten so large that it threatened to put the US financial system at risk. It was as if a playground snowball fight has escalated so wildly that the Joint Chiefs of Staff were being called in to avoid a nuclear war. So Tether is what came to be known in the financial circles as a stable coin. Stable because one Tether is supposed to be backed by $1, but it's actually more than a bank. The company that issues the currency, Tether Holdings Limited, takes in dollars from people who want to trade crypto and credits their digital wallets with an equal amount of tethers in return. Once they have tethers, people can send them to cryptocurrency exchanges and use them to bet on the price of Bitcoin, Ether, or any of the thousands of other coins. So basically, Tether is a way of transacting with other cryptos that is supposed to be more easy than just using your dollars. So it's essentially getting into the crypto world first of all, and then kind of trading around within that. But exactly how Tether is backed, or if it is truly backed at all, has always been a mystery. For years, a persistent group of critics has argued that despite the company's assurances, Tether Holdings doesn't have enough assets to maintain the one-to-one exchange rate, meaning its coin is essentially a fraud. So basically, now we get to the conundrum, or the questions that are being asked, which Tether is so far refusing to answer. Now, I don't mean to belittle the efforts of Janet Yellen, but I just don't think that she will, in any substantial way, kind of resolve what Tether is. At this point, I think it's kind of a sink or swim moment for Tether, whether it is actually a fraud or it isn't. I wouldn't trust the authorities to get to the bottom of it and solve it in any meaningful way, essentially. So, getting further into what Tether is, basically there are now 69 billion tethers in circulation, 48 billion of them issued this year. This Bloomberg article was written October 2021, so Obviously, there's been time since then. There's even more tethers now. But basically, the question is there actual money backing these coins? And so far, the answer is very gray. Basically, there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that Tether, if they were, maintaining this 1-to-1 exchange ratio, they would have had to go out and actually purchase some of these commercial paper short-term loans that essentially would make Tether the 7th largest holder of these kinds of debts, behind something like a Charles Schwab and a Vanguard. But basically, a lot of people out there, who are in the know with regards to purchasing this much of these securities say that Tether has not done that. Basically, if there were a new entrant, it would usually be very obvious, and there isn't such evidence to point that Tether has been doing this. So this doesn't help Tether at all as an organization. And then, of course, there's the real ominous sign when a person who was formerly involved in Tether comes out and says that it's a complete fraud and that it will eventually collapse. So basically, Zhao Dong, a prominent Tether trader in China, is serving 3 years in prison there for using the currency to launder $480 million for illegal casinos. And in May 2013, the creator of proto-stablecoin Liberty Reserve was arrested in Spain and eventually pleaded guilty to money laundering conspiracy charge. So basically, he says that the U.S. will come after Tether in due time, basically saying that he almost feels sorry for them, that it is obviously a scam. So that doesn't point in their favor as to how much this guy Dong actually knows about Tether is in question, but apparently he's a former fraudster. He thinks that Tether is going to go down as well, up in smoke, so that is kind of a bad sign as well. So basically, I could keep going through this article. There's a lot that we don't know about Tether. There's a lot, kind of in the crypto world in general, there's a lot of former, perhaps illegal activity involved in the corporate side of Tether as well. So there's just a lot of shady aspects of Tether, to say the least. But without that being said, I'll now get into probably a more obvious reason for why crypto could see significantly lower lows than where it is right now, and that is the leverage that is behind something like Bitcoin, also Ethereum, and other cryptos out there. The leverage that corporations and individuals have is immense, and we don't have to go any further than Michael Saylor to see this in action. Now, Saylor at this point, I don't even know quite what his arguments for Bitcoin are, in that they vary so dramatically day to day. So we only have to go look at his tweets to see how absurd these arguments for Bitcoin have become. Basically, his pinned tweet is that Bitcoin is a swarm of cyber hornets serving the goddess of wisdom, feeding on the fire of truth, exponentially growing ever smarter, faster, and stronger behind a wall of encrypted energy. Okay, what does any of that even mean? I don't know. And he goes on to say in a different tweet, those using the words crypto and Bitcoin interchangeably understand neither. Okay, Bitcoin is money, everything else is credit. Well, it turns out that Saylor himself has a lot of debt that he used to buy more Bitcoin, and unfortunately he urged a lot of other people to do the same, that has to be the most disappointing thing about Saylor, is he urged a lot of people who were not, let's say, well off to begin with, to take on debt to buy something that is probably a scam, a pump and dump at this point. Okay, so that has to be my biggest critique of somebody like Michael Saylor, is he urged a lot of people to take on a lot of risk, basically as much risk as they possibly could, and that is not playing out well for people who followed his advice. It could have played out very well if crypto had continued to go up, but it really has not played out well for Saylor at this point. If Bitcoin does go under around $25,000 a Bitcoin, he will be underwater in terms of all of his margin loans and everything he took on to purchase more Bitcoin. So at that point, it'll become a situation of forced liquidation, usually at a loss. And so that only puts further selling pressure on Bitcoin. Saylor is not the only person out there who's like this. He's definitely the most vocal, but basically we haven't even started seeing a lot of this liquidation happening yet. So this is another reason why crypto could go significantly lower from where it is now. Basically, yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainties out there with regards to Tether, maybe some other stable coins as well, but Tether is the most obvious. It's the largest stable coin, probably the one that if some bad news does hit out there, that would be the most significant of an impact to Bitcoin. There's also a lot of just pumping up schemes that are beginning to unwind that will exert a lot of selling pressure on something like Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it might be. So all this being said, I've been skeptical about Bitcoin and crypto for a while now. I haven't been involved with it. I've just been kind of warning you guys. Maybe you don't want to be involved with it. But all this being said, this video is just kind of serving the purpose of looking into some other factors that, in my opinion, make it to where we're kind of only at the beginning of this bear market for crypto. Obviously, longer term in crypto, we might see a bit of a recovery. Obviously, a lot of the selling pressure will wipe out a lot of these coins altogether, but maybe, as you know, some of these crypto experts like to say, maybe that is only part of a cleansing process that further helps the industry as a whole. We'll just have to wait and see on that. If you liked this video, just consider subscribing to this channel if you want to hear more. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why down in the comment section below. I hope to see you all again at some point in the future.